Hey there, this is Dano. I just wanted to give you a little overview of the group locator and some of the frustrations that I've run into when trying to learn how to verify some of my ministries online, some of the little quirks and challenges, and just wanted to step you through just so you know it's not you, or if you had similar challenges, kind of show you how to get around. This is a generic group locator, and what I wanted to do was show some of the steps to use it, the different features. If you have some other tips or steps that somebody might benefit from, let me know and I'll add them. But I just wanted to step through this. So the first thing we always must remember, this is a generic locator tool, and the first thing you need to do is click this selected category and set to celebrate recovery. If you go through and you set the other one, for example, all of this information and click search without that, it'll show up just like this, Saddleback Church. What I'm going to do is I want to show you one quick way we as leads in Georgia can use this. Click on Celebrate Recovery, then click the state. And what I wanted to make sure you understand is be patient. If I go right here and click, it's not reloaded and I can get frustrated. You see that little flash? So what it did was it went through and it pulled all the names of the cities that are in Georgia and put them over here. If you knew a specific city you wanted to verify in your list, you can click on that city directly. So for example, I want to check on this one that's in Perry, Georgia. So it'll flash and I get one showing up, Perry, Georgia. Now, of course, this convenient little screen says where Perry, Georgia is relationship to the United States. I just drag this little mouse up a little bit and now I got Perry. If I wanted to zoom out a little bit, I can find it there as well. One thing I wanted to point out that can be confusing or frustrating, the map here shows the location of the city I selected in the drop down right here. If you notice, it doesn't show any other ministries. This can get confusing for when you do a search with the zip code and the radius. I want to show you how to do that. What I can do is maybe I want to find out, maybe this is one that's in trouble, or I want to give them a suggestion to maybe go check out another Celebrate Recovery. And what I can do is I can find out ones in the near vicinity. Now how I do that, there's multiple ways. The key here is to have the zip code, and there's a zip code here, but I can't click on it to copy that. When I click on it, it's going to pop up the information about the ministry, which is fine. So I click on it, and there comes the information. Here's the ministry leader, the phone number, the day and time the ministry runs, and their email address. Sometimes you might need to verify an email address or a phone number, or maybe you put a ticket in to change the ministry leader or the night. You'd be able to check that right here for your convenience on this one particular ministry. But remember, what I wanted to do is find a nearby Celebrate Recovery to maybe refer this team to go visit. So if I click on directions, here's my state and where it's at, and I can double click on that and copy it. Now what I can do is I can go over here to the zip code and I can paste my zip code in there, and when I hit tab I go over to this radius, and let's say within 50 miles, and I do search. It refreshes, and so here could be a little frustrating. Remember, we had said we want to be Perry, Georgia, and we want to be 50-mile radius. So in my mind, if I back out on my global thing, and you can look at it, Perry, Georgia is in the center of my 50-mile radius. But what gets kind of funky is the center of my screen defaulted to a random location up here in the north. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to explain to you, if you go in there, it might end up putting you someplace like this and you're not sure where you are orientated. You can right click out if you want, and you can drag this, and now I can see Perry, and now I have 3 ministries just north of Perry, Georgia. And I can click on them and I can get the information. I can actually copy and paste and do that kind of information on it. Now what I wanted to show you so you don't get frustrated, I have experienced where this seemed like it was pretty cool. I could actually see ministries nearby and be able to possibly verify more than one at a time, maybe see if some ministries are in the database that I'm unaware of. And so let's do a little example here. So we're going to change from Perry, Georgia. We're going to go within 100 miles, and then we're going to search. Note the interesting thing, Celebrate Recovery went away, but it's okay. For some reason it knows it's still searching for Celebrate Recovery. You can note right here that Perry, Georgia is still my center point for viewing, and again this can get confusing because the search results returned Monticello as the center of my screen. If I go down here and back out, now I can see the blue circle with the radius. And so the frustrating or confusing thing can come about. As a ministry leader, I know in my southern region that there are ministries missing from this view. For example, I live over in Columbus, Georgia, and we have 2 ministries here, and none of them showed up. I also know we have a ministry in Tifton and in Moultrie. So I begin to question myself, how valid is this search? Now, I don't want you to get too frustrated, but I wanted you to know not all the views in the map are 100% accurate. And here's an example of a challenge I got into. So that's just kind of showing you. I want to go back. I indicated that I live in Columbus, Georgia. So I go to the state and notice that I have to be patient. It reloads the screen. It'll flash. There's the flash. And then I come down to Columbus, Georgia. And when I select the name, it automatically searches. So here on the left-hand side, it gives me my default locations, and that is based solely on the Columbus, Georgia name. If you notice, the zip codes are different, but it's searched on Columbus, Georgia. Now if we zoom in on this, you can see I have the 2 Columbus, Georgia located, but there's no blue circle which is relating to the radius. If you remember when we had a radius in there, it had a circle and it showed other ministries. In this view, where I search for the city only, that's all it gives me, because that's all I said. I want Celebrate Recovery in Columbus, Georgia. So it doesn't have that radius. Now, my challenge was that I didn't know I had to verify a new church that I put in the locator. You know, when you put it into the locator, when you put it into a ticket to have them added or changed, you need to verify that it's been changed on the locator, and then we update it in our Google Docs. Well, the challenge I had was I had a new church that I submitted for Warner Robins area, and I wanted to see it. So I don't know Warner Robins zip code off the top of my head, and my first practice has always been, I'll put in my zip code 31904, and I'll hit tab, and then I'll do give me 100 miles, and I'll do a search. This does a reset, and conveniently it locates me up north. Hey, there's my area, but what's interesting is I don't see anything out there in Macon area or Warner Robins. So even as I zoom in to Warner Robins, now I'm frustrated because I have a ministry in Warner Robins, Southside, that's been there for many years, and that doesn't even show up, even when the radius says that it should. And why I want to share this with you is I had submitted a ticket for that church to be there, and it wasn't showing up when I quickly looked at it until I noticed that other ones weren't showing up. It got frustrating. So then here's the example. So if I go to Celebrate Recovery, let it refresh, select the state of Georgia, Georgia refreshes, and then if I go down to Warner Robins, and then I need to zoom in. Oh, and there it is right there. There's the one I needed to verify. And so I just wanted to show you some of the frustration and challenges. If you have a change that you've put in or you need to verify, I would recommend going right to the city, and you'd be able to verify that on the change. Don't get frustrated with it. It's a challenge. That's kind of how I move around. Another example of some of the frustration that you might have is I have actually found, going through the locator, some churches that are in my area that I was unaware of. And how that comes about over the years, the database has entries that we used to do years ago before we got the locator, and they're still there. And if we don't go out and look around in our area, we don't know what might be there. So here's an example of what I found in my area. When I do Celebrate Recovery, and I just know this area from my practice, I'm going to go to Florida, and then I'm going to go to Jacksonville. So Jacksonville, get located. I'll grab the zip code for Jacksonville. And again, this is just faster for me than going to Google and flipping back and forth. So now I'm going to go up here, I'm going to do Jacksonville, and I'm going to do 100 miles, and I'm going to do a search. So here now is my Jacksonville search and a 100-mile radius. And oh, look at this. I have a church in Georgia, Kings Island, Georgia. So that would be in southern Georgia. I have no clue about this particular church. So now I go, this is interesting, and I'll grab the information here. I don't want to just put a ticket in to remove them. What I would do is I would actually send an inquiry to them with our regular website inquiry packet that we send out to new churches, their 90-day startup and the DNA confirmation. And so I've got his email address here, I've got his name and phone number, I can pick up the phone, that kind of thing. So what I do from this point, I'm going to grab this zip code again, and now I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to search. I'm going to narrow it down to like 50 miles, and I want to search. Flashes it, and it starts up. So now I'm going to back out a little bit. So now look, another interesting one. So as I zoom in on this, not only Kings Island showed up, but now I got another one here in Brunswick. Remember when I searched for Jacksonville 100 miles, this one didn't show up, but Kings Island did. So now if I go to this one, there's the Bruce Ebbets that we found. Now what in the world is this one? So this one is Christian Renewal Church. I know I don't have these people on my contacts, so again I'd send an email asking about their DNA and about the website. I would flag this as one to follow up on. Directions again, I'm going to grab this zip code, I'm going to go up here, and unfortunately I just continue to monitor areas of my state moving around. It's going to flash here in a second, I would hope. Search one more time. And up here it's still clocking, so it's still working. There's the flash. Now if I back out some, I don't have any more in that area. So that's an example of finding a couple of ministries in my region that I was unaware of. That's just some tips that I have for right now. If you have any insights, ideas, let me know, and maybe we'll put together a video and training, but I thought this would be easier than a Zoom. Hope it helps you guys. Have a great day. God bless.